بسم الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي Amma ba'd, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to Borderless Arabic. The goal of this channel, inshallah, is to take us from scratch to a reasonably advanced understanding of the language of the Quran. So, inshallah, this course is for you if you want to have develop a strong understanding of the Quran and be able to read the Quran without using a translation. It's also going to help us, inshallah, understand the ahadith and the text of the scholars. Because these resources, the ahadith and classical texts, they use the same literary style of the Quran. So it helps us when we understand the Arabic language to also be able to understand these resources as well, inshallah. And the third goal of this course is to help us improve the quality of our salah. Being the most important obligation on us as Muslims, it's difficult for us to have that solid foundation and khushu' and focus while praying if we don't understand what we are saying, right? So hopefully I think inshallah by the end of this course I will have a firm understanding of the ayats and the verses of the Quran we recite, which will also in turn help us also impact positively on the quality of our salah, inshallah. So with that said, let's get started with the first lesson. الدرس الأول حروف اللغة العربية. It simply means the Arabic language alphabets. We are going to start from here because it gives us a firm foundation on which to build our knowledge of word structure and sentence construction. Of course, for some of us who have maybe done this in the past, we can read and write the Arabic language. We may not need to start from here, but just for the benefit of those of us who are starting from scratch, I hope that we have this a very handy resource, inshallah. So, Bismillah. The first letter we are going to study is this. It's called Hamza. Hamza. Its articulation point is from the furthest part of the throat, like so. So you can see here, this is where this Hamza comes from. Somewhere the deepest, furthest lying part of the throat, alongside another letter we are going to learn, inshallah. So in English, it's often called a glottal stop. A glottal stop because we don't have a corresponding letter in the English language for Hamza. So in Arabic, for example, when we say da'bun, da'bun, so you can see it's like we are having a brief stop after da'bun, da'bun. That's what Hamza does. It's like a glottal stop. And da'bun means habit. Habit. A good habit, bad habit, habit. Now, the next letter we have is this is called Alif, of course, and most of us are familiar with Alif. Why did we start with Alif? Because in Arabic grammar, Hamza is actually the first letter, not Alif, and that's why we discussed Hamza prior Alif. So it's called Alif, and we have this. It has no speech sound. Alif has no speech sound. It's the only letter in the Arabic language that has no speech sound. What do we mean by it doesn't have speech sound? It means we cannot pronounce or articulate it from a specific part of the mouth. Unlike Hamza, we said Hamza comes from the furthest lying part of the throat. But in case of Alif, it doesn't have any speech sound, so it's not a consonant. So it's the only known consonant letter in the Arabic language. Its main function is as a mad letter. So what do we mean by a mad letter? It means that they are used to extend or lengthen the vowel sound on a preceding consonant letter. So, and these sounds we emit them when we vibrate the vocal cords with movements from the mouth and jaw, like so. So, Alif, when we say it comes from the whole space here, from this bottom part, and it travels up through the middle and out, right? So, it doesn't have a specific point we can articulate the Alif from. Now, just like in English word card, just a little bit longer, as in the Arabic word siratun, siratun, siratun. So we have a consonant letter ra with this a. Then alif extends this sound to siratun, not siratun. Without the alif, it will be siratun, but that's wrong. It's siratun. So alif is dragging the length of the vowel sound on the preceding letter. Siratun means path, path. Now, when we have something like this, so we see, for example, we say alhamd, alhamd. So we see this in blue. We have this alif-looking shape here. Is it actually alif? Yeah, it's usually called alif, but it's not. It's hamzatul wasl. Hamzatul wasl. Inshallah, we are going to learn in the next video what this hamza is and how to identify them in words. Inshallah. Up next is this called ba. Ba. So it comes from strongly closing the two lips. Ba. Ba as in ba. See, as shown above. Ba. 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 It's quite easy, as in the English word bat. Bat. Or in Arabic, tawbah. Tawbatu. Tawbah. And tawbah means repentance. The next letter is this one here. We have it. It's called ta. Ta comes from the top of the tip of the tongue and the gum line of the two front upper incisors, like so. So we have to make sure the tongue is actually hitting the gum line and not a little bit ahead of that. Otherwise, it's going to touch the tooth. And once it touches the tooth, it's going to come across like tsa, tsa. And that's way too sharp than we want it to be. It has to touch the gum line. When it touches the gum line, it's not going to be too sharp. It's going to be ta, 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 not ta, ta, ta. So, as in the English word tip, 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 and taqwa, taqwa in Arabic. Taqwa means piety, piety. Now, and the next one we have here is called tha. Tha comes from the top side of the tip of the tongue and the bottom edges of the two top front incisors, like so. And in the case of tha, we have to make sure we stick the tongue slightly out of the mouth, so it makes the tha sound, tha, tha. If we don't make the tongue come out and it stays inside, it's going to be sa, sa, sa. That's another different letter entirely. So it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult for us to pronounce tha correctly when we don't stick the tongue out. Alongside two other letters, tha alongside two other letters, we have to stick out the tongue. So it touches the tip. See now the tip of the top of the tongue here is where we have to touch to make the top front incisors make contact with the tongue to have tha come out. Tha, tha, tha. As in the English word three, three, three. Or in Arabic, thawbun. Thawbun means a garment. A garment. The next letter is this. It's called jim. Jim comes from the middle of the tongue and opposite it from the roof of the mouth, like so. So we are trying to stick the tongue to touch the middle part of the roof of the mouth. Jim, jim, jim. As in the English word jog, jog, or in Arabic jannah, jannah. And of course we know what jannah means. It's the garden, the garden. So, and we have this here. It's called ha, ha, ha. Comes from the middle part of the throat, like so. So we discussed hamza. We said hamza was lying or lies at the deepest part of the throat. Now ha comes from the middle part of the throat, and we have to make sure we are making it sharp enough. Ha, ha. Otherwise, if we don't make it sharp enough, it's going to come across like a different letter, which we are going to learn, inshallah. So it's ha, 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 ha. We don't have an exact equivalent in the English language, but we say, for example, in hack, hack. So you make the H a little bit sharper and stronger. Hack, hack, hack. And in Arabic, we say ahadun, ahad, or ahadun, ahadun. Means one. Up next is this called kha, kha. Kha comes from the top part of the throat and the upper roof of the mouth, like so. So it's the third letter we're going to treat now from the throat letters. So it comes from the top uppermost part of the throat. We don't have again a similar sound in English language or a similar letter in English language, but we say as in lock. So in Arabic we say khana. Khana is a verb. It means to betray. He betrayed someone. Khana. Up next is this called dal. Dal. Pronounced using the top of the tip of the tongue and the gum line of the two front upper incisors. Like so. Dal. 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 It's quite easy for us to say dal, as in the English word dam. Dam. And dakhala. Dakhala in Arabic means to enter. So he entered. It's the verb he entered. Up next is this one called dhal. 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 Using the top side of the tip of the tongue and the bottom edges of the two top front incisors. Now, again, this is the second letter. We discussed fa earlier on. So this is the second letter where we have to stick the tongue out. The tongue has to be out. So for us to be able to have the sound come out correctly, dhal, dhal, dhal. If it stays inside, it's going to be zal, 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 and that's wrong. As in the English word, there, or in Arabic we say dhakar, dhakarun, and dhakar. Dhakar means male. Up next is raw. Used pronounced using the tip of the tongue and the top of the tip. The tip of the tongue with the top of the tip and what lies opposite this region of the gums of the two front top incisors, like so. So we have it this part here. It's like we're using two regions to make the contact with the top, the opposite sides of the gums. And it's why we are able to say, to roll the raw sound. We say r. Singular, we say raw. If it's just one raw. When we have it two, we roll the tongue r. As in the English word rope. In Arabic, roibun means doubt. Roibun. Up next is this. We have zayun or za. It comes from the tip of the tongue and between the tip of the tongue touching between the plates of the two top front incisors, like so. Za. It's quite simple. As in English word zip, and zawjun in Arabic. Zawjun means a pair, spouse. Yeah.